value and revenue beyond concept, all subnets have very much orientated, or the greater majority, towards product. So this, if you're trying to serve a product to real customers, synthetics, a lot of the new subnets are not even being designed around synthetics. They're being designed to offer functional client-facing products.
And then the inference subnets are still on top. Do you think that will always be the case for Bittensor, that inference subnets are what's best suited?
The inference subjects, and although Targon is on top at the moment, some of that may be driven by team stimulation, and it's the early days. Let's see how this one pans out. But really, I think the people's favorite at the moment seems to be Shoots, and Shoots is serverless compute. So it's and then also in the top 5 you have a compute subnet. Although I'm not quite sure how sustainable the compute subnet business models are. But if you look at things like Shoots, which is serverless compute, so you can deploy any model, spin it up without having to spin up servers and configure servers, and then instantly access it via API. So they were also running the large version of DeepSeek and countless other things. Gradients, where you can come on and train LLMs, or now also image models, so you can arrive with yours or an existing data set, your base model or an existing base model from Hugging Face, and just go on and train them as you wish. Subnets like 13, where you can arrive with a set of keywords and go and send it out to scrape enormous data sets on your behalf. Inference was the darling poster boy child of AI last year, because it's so easy to explain to people. It's like ChatGPT. And the network itself is also pushing many aspects which may incorporate elements of AI, but are not purely AI-based. A lot of the price-orientated, price optimization subnets, those that are using the miners to produce data that has value outside of potentially training, pre-training, fine-tuning, and inference, are all stepping up. I think that we've carried over a lot of the reputations from pre-detail. We complained a lot about the emissions ratings within the pre-detail, but post-detail, they look very similar. But I believe that landscape will change as a greater amount of people begin to assign value based on what they actually see and what these teams deliver.
How long do you think it will take before you kind of see the order kind of settle down and not move around so much from these low liquidity environments?
This is my personal view. So many people believe that it'll take anywhere between 60 and 120 days for things to settle. I think it was 90 to 120, and it's been brought back a bit to 60, or advanced a bit to 60 days. I think what we'll start to see is a clearer divide between the top subnets and the lower subnets, because there is now no deregistration. So a subnet can fade into oblivion, but it's still there. I do believe that might spring a secondary market, a subnet market, where people try and sell subnets that they no longer need, because essentially an exit liquidity with a chunk of the alpha. It's a natural market effect of the way things are designed. But I think we'll see a split, and as we start to see that gap between the valued subnets and the non-valued subnets, I think then we'll start to see a hierarchy start to form. And what I'm looking for, and I'm waiting for, are new subnets that launch with a strong product, a working front end, a working incentive mechanism, and the time it takes them to establish themselves in the public eye, in the investors' eyes, and also as a functional product. And when we see that, happen effectively, I think then we would have hit the state at which anything is possible based on the value you bring to the ecosystem, rather than the reputation you may have forged over the past year with people within the network.
And the no deregistration now, you said that you think people will start to sell their keys that own the subnet. Do you think this will be a feature that will be changed in the future to where it will bring back deregistration? to kind of prune some of these subnets that are dead?
I don't think you can you used to be able to deregister your subnet manually in the code if you really wanted to just step away. I'm not sure you can do that anymore. I would have to double check that. But I do know that obviously there's no limit on subnets, and the idea is that subnet cost is attainable and accessible. I think the minimum subnet cost is 10 TAO, which would, in current prices would be $4,200. That's a very attainable cost. It's currently sitting at about 500 because there was a lot of demand for these initial subnets, and especially, I believe, possibly some demand for subnet 69. Now 69 has been registered. I feel like we'll probably find an equilibrium somewhere between 1 and 200 TAO. Would be my estimation of what people are prepared to spend to register a subnet, which is between 40